6:19. We're going to start the meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 20th, 2021. I forgot the roll call. You can just acknowledge your presence. Mr. Shambrown?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
I'm Robert Burke. Along with us are Chief Cappiello, Deputy Chief Ron Smith, and Joseph Crisco. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. There a motion to approve the minutes from December 20th, 2021. We do have a quorum for that.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Thank you. And our roll call is Mr. Shambrown. Do you approve?
Aye.
Mr. Esposito, do you approve?
Aye.
It carries unanimously. I assume, gentlemen, there were no corrections or modifications. I should have said that before we voted. Next item on the agenda are public comments. Chief Cappiello, is there anyone from the public that wished to address the police commission? I know there may be someone for our other commission. You're on mute, Frank. I'm sorry. Couldn't hear you.
Sorry, no one for this portion. Just
Okay.
for
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is our executive session component. Chief, I'll defer to you. Would you like to go into executive session now, or should we do that later? Doesn't make a difference to me.
Well, the candidate I know is probably going to be in the waiting room.
So let's do that now. Okay. Is there a motion to move to executive session?
That's no motion. Second.
And a roll call. Mr. Shambrown, do you approve of that?
Aye.
Mr. Esposito, do you approve?
Aye.
So I'd like to invite a number of people into the executive session. Obviously, the commissioners, Chief Cappiello, Deputy Chief Smith, as well as the candidate. So if everyone can get off of this link, unfortunately, I'm going to have to shut this link down until we come back, and I'll jump onto the other link as well. So we returned from executive session. It is now 7:29 p.m. We did not vote on any items in executive session. We did deal with one matter that involved Officer Lima. He was invited by Chief Cappiello to attend. He had declined that invitation. There is one item that we discussed that we will vote on, and that is the application for a conditional offer of employment. Is there someone that wishes to make a motion to offer a conditional offer of employment?
So moved. Second.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Hey, Rob?
Yes.
I think we just have to clarify that it wasn't the conditional officer, it was for employment, I guess. Conditional offer was last time.
Right, but I thought the offer of employment is conditioned on the two tests that are the two exams that are outstanding. Isn't it? Aren't we waiting for the
Contingent on that.
Right, that's what I said. The contingent offer it should be, not conditional. I apologize.
No worries.
That's correct. Contingent offer of employment. We're waiting for the drug screen and the occupational exam results, right? They were already conducted. We're waiting for those.
Correct.
So will you be willing to amend your motion to?
Yes.
Who that?
I move to offer employment contingent on the results of those two tests.
Okay, and as I've been advised, we have to do a roll call. So I'm just going to go by the screen that I have in order. Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Shambrown?
Aye.
Dr. Freed?
Yes.
Dr. Desir?
Yes.
Congratulations. That is unanimous.
Very much.
Once again, I wish this was in person so we can all shake your hand, and we welcome you to the force and look forward to
Thank you.
seeing you in Woodbridge.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Stefano.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. I'm very excited for this. Thank you.
Good.
You're welcome to stay on and be bored with the rest of our agenda.
I appreciate it, but Thank
Yeah,
you
well,
very much.
No problem. Good night.
Have a good night.
The next item on our agenda is the financial report.
Okay, at this point, we're just 6.5 months into the new fiscal year, and overall, we remain on target. As you see, the budget shows 56.7, but there's some grant reimbursement for 3 different grants that's still pending. And so it puts us in good shape. We're right on target, despite having a homicide at the beginning of the fiscal year and COVID absences and everything else that we've been dealing with. So financially, we look good. If you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
So in the absence of former Commissioner Falsigno, I know he would ask this question, were 94% used of the overtime budget.
Correct.
What did that account for significantly?
Significantly, it was a lot of that was for grant money. That's exactly what's putting us over. There was like $10,000 in the distracted driving and highway safety grants, and another 16,500 of the funding went into the coronavirus relief funding grant. That all be coming back reimbursable. And what really put us over was at the beginning of the fiscal year, at the end of the last fiscal year, and then leading us right into July, we had the homicide investigation that carried over. And then coupled with that, we had our usual storms, COVID absences, and then the ongoing being short-staffed. It's still creating all that additional contractual overtime that we're dealing with for the OIC time and voluntary coverage, so that the sergeants don't have a mandated patrol.
So with 4 months left, we're going to be well over those numbers. Well over.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
yeah, we will. And historically, we always are. We're probably going to be where we are almost every year, but it's always budgeted on the low side there. We do our best to try to stay within that, but it's not, I don't think it's as realistic as it needs to be. But
I mean, we have discussion all the time as far as adding officers. Is that going to reduce the overtime? And it doesn't seem to ever do that. I mean, we've added officers and we don't see that reduction.
Well, we're right now we're lower than we've ever been. So, it's almost impossible right now to, every time something happens or we have a storm or what have you, we're pretty much at bare bones. So everybody that has to come in just to run the ship and keep the operation going is coming in at, and it ends up being an overtime, some sort of an overtime cost generated with it, because we're at bare bones staffing.
So how do we avoid that?
But why is it, there have been times when we have been fully staffed and we still see these levels of overtime?
It's all contingent on, storms and incidents that happen. And it's like we always said, it's the cost of doing business. I mean, we have to respond, we have to investigate, and with a minimum manpower, small staffing, and we enter into all kinds of contractual obligations now that just any savings that we were doing kind of got pushed over now with these other obligations that we're forced. And when we're short staffed, that increases the number of times all those happen.
Hey, I have 2 questions. One, are we still down a dispatcher? Because there's high overtime for dispatch too.
Right.
It's COVID.
Right. No, obviously, yeah, because of COVID, people are out. Every time we've had,
Yeah.
I will get into that under personnel, they're back now. Well, actually, we're still down 1. She'll be back
Okay.
this weekend. But,
And-
running with 1 dispatcher, anytime one's out, it creates an overtime.
Yeah, understood. I just wanted for information. I understand that. The other thing is, given what Officer Lima did, I think we're all, at least I'm certainly kind of primed to think who else is doing what. So again, back to Mike's really good idea for episodic audits or something, because we all like to think there's not more than one criminal in our police force. We don't know.
I think that we should probably have that discussion in different form.
Oh, apologies. Yeah.
How much is gonna be reimbursable, Frank?
Let's see.
I mean, for the next 4 months, I mean, what do you have, what are we looking for in terms of what is reimbursable that could help us get through the next 4 months? So we don't.
I'll tell you exactly. So it's like almost 26,000 should be coming in.
That'll help, but
Yeah, that so that's a big chunk of that. I think that's what really drove that up more than it was. And a lot of it was in a very recent past too. So you really probably noticed a big jump during the last month, because that's when.
I budgeted for more officers than were currently paid.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you well.
Budgeted for more officers than were currently paid.
How many officers are we budgeting for?
Right now we're budgeted for 23 sworn.
And we've got how many?
We're down one right now.
So in some sense, that should, since that one person is not being paid, that offsets the overtime amount being paid, correct?
Well, not in that line, maybe, yeah.
Not in that line item, but in
Because
reality.
we're paying for overtime to fill that officer's obligations. We're paying that greater than a 1-for-1 rate.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why it's costing us more to have
I
paid
didn't
overtime.
say it fully offset it, but it should, we don't often view it like that, but it should offset it somewhat. I know you're paying more than for overtime, especially if it's a holiday or a Sunday.
Are there any other questions about the financial report? Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion for it.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito, seconded by Dr. Freed. The shifted on the screen, so I'll just go through the boards so I don't miss anyone. Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Mr. Shambrown,
Aye.
Dr. Desir,
Aye.
and Mr. Esposito.
Aye.
Thank you all. That carries unanimously. Next item on our agenda.
Okay, next item, I'll move on to the criminal activity report.
Thank you.
So on January 3rd, we had actually that's January 2nd, we had a carjacking in the parking lot down on Lucy Street. It was an armed carjacking. Victim was in the parking lot down there. He was approached by two suspects. One was brandishing a handgun. The officers responded immediately, and shortly thereafter, they located the suspects down on Route 69, entering New Haven, trying to flee up that way. They noticed one of the suspects discarded the handgun, and they were able to take that person into custody. And the juvenile from New Haven was arrested, and they're still trying to identify the second party involved with that. We had a burglary on December 29th, and that was over on the Davis Road area off of 243 up by Ansonia Road. Officers responded that afternoon around 4 in the afternoon to an activated residential burglar alarm, and they discovered that forced entry had been made to the rear of the house, and the scene was processed by ISU and waiting possible results on forensic analysis of evidence that was seized from the We had several fraud complaints. A lot of them involved financial records, checks online, email attempts to open up accounts, telephone scams. So they're working through those. We had 6 larceny investigations. On the 5th, we had most of them actually were all, other than one, were package thefts from deliveries that were made, either left at the mailbox or on people's property, and things that went missing, but they're in different areas: Hunter's Ridge, Litchfield Turnpike, Perkins Road, Seymour Road, Litchfield Turnpike. So kind of all about town, sporadically. And then on the 27th, the officers investigated a shoplifting complaint at one of the local businesses down on 69. And the store owner flagged down one of the detectives that was in the area, and they were able to apprehend the suspect just over the New Haven line there, and some of the merchandise that was stolen. We had 4 different incidents of larcenies from motor vehicles, mostly unlocked motor vehicles, and those occurred all different areas of town: Landon Street, Ansonia Road, Old Still, in the Ford Road areas. And we had a catalytic converter stolen off of a vehicle down on Warren Road during the overnight hours. We had an incident at the high school where school administration received some alerts about a photograph that was being circulated depicting some signs of violence, and it was associated with that stay home movement that was going around nationwide. That happened on December 17th, and so the Detective Bureau got involved with that and worked through that, and found that it was not anything that originated here. It was just information that was being circulated. Back in March, the Detective Division conducted a sexual assault investigation, and they ended up arresting a suspect for that, and that suspect pled guilty to 4 counts of sex assault, and he's due to be scheduled due to be sentenced in February. Back in April, we had a motor vehicle accident on Rimmon Road. During that investigation, the officers located a loaded firearm in the car that had been stolen from the home of an Arkansas state trooper. That suspect actually just pled guilty in court, and he's going to be sentenced shortly to 5 years in prison. And then on December 13th, the officers conducted a motor vehicle stop, and they ended up arresting somebody for numerous motor vehicle violations, and that suspect had also been wanted on an outstanding felony warrant. Regarding the investigative services unit, they had 6 new cases that they compiled last month. The burglary, the bunch of the package and mail thefts, the bad check investigation. They conducted the background check on the candidate that we spoke of earlier. And they also had a narcotics investigation that they've been working on. They had a couple of search warrants that were signed, and one was served and executed at the beginning of the month in January. And they did 16 fingerprint processing and 3 pistol permit background investigations. And that's all I have for activity. And on the criminal side, and the deputy will fill you in on the motor vehicle and traffic enforcement activity for the month.
With regards to our motor vehicle activity, in early December, we participated in the Click It or Ticket campaign regarding motorists not wearing their seat belts. We issued 16 infractions on 2 different occasions. We made 167 motor vehicle stops in the month of December. There were 23 motor vehicle accidents occurring throughout town, 2 with injuries. Our officers conducted speed enforcement at 383 different times at different various locations, and also over 380 traffic safety patrols were looking for other traffic violations. The speed trailer was deployed on Baldwin Road on 2 different occasions throughout the month of December. We've been taking motor vehicle activity very seriously, and our officers have been stepping it up the last 4 to 5 months.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the activity report? Okay, is there a motion to approve the activity report?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Esposito. There's a second. Thank you, Dr. Freed. Going through the roll call for those that approve, Mr. Shambrown,
Aye.
Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Dr. Desir,
Aye.
and Mr. Esposito.
Aye.
Thank you. Carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the police report.
Okay, just 2 items. The first one, just a quick update on some COVID-19 related information. So as I mentioned before, when we were talking about the overtime, we continue to work through the challenges that are associated with the pandemic, and pretty much what was most recently compounded with the uptick and surge of positive cases. It's affected us like it's affecting everyone. It's affected us on the personnel side here at the PD as well. But on January 3rd, our police department, along with Betsy Yaga from the town hall and staff from Woodbridge Human Services, we worked together and conducted a drive-through distribution in the center parking lot of N95 masks and COVID-19 at-home rapid test kits to the residents. And then on January 4th, the next day, the first selectman, as you know, issued a town-wide emergency order requiring mask wearing that went into effect this past week or so on January 10th. So the order requires that masks be worn regardless of your vaccination status at all indoor public spaces and meeting places where the public has access, except while eating or drinking, and also at private indoor businesses and places of employment. Then on Saturday 8th, the police department, we teamed up along with the fire department, and we jointly distributed N95 masks and test kits to our residents again at the same location. And First Selectman Heller was also there and helped with that. And that went well. And actually, we did it the first day and on the 3rd. And when we did it the second time, we had the system down a little bit pat, and we were able to really get the people through, and it worked well, and the traffic flowed well, and stuff went very quickly, and everyone was pleased. We were pleased the way it worked, and the people and the residents that were getting the materials, they were really pleased. So it was a nice, smooth, and efficient flow. And since then, we continue to be coordinating with the distribution of the N95 masks to the schools, both public and private, the daycare facilities, and members of our most vulnerable population in the group homes located throughout town. And as the state allocates more resources and PPE and test kits to the municipalities, we will continue facilitating getting those distributed. And the only other topic I had that I wanted to share with you was just an update on our IT system network infrastructure, the work that's being done on that. So over the past few months, TBNG has been working here and moving forward, and they really made significant progress with the upgrade of our departmental infrastructure. And then also, as reported a few months ago, and this kind of coincided with the retirement of Sergeant Thomas. So Detective Iannucci, who's moved into the detective bureau there, he has taken on the IT responsibilities that Sergeant Thomas was performing, and he's been doing a great job transitioning over, and he really has establishing a good working relationship with TBNG and some of the other vendors that we're using. So that whole transition is going very smoothly. Currently, they're working with NextGen, who's our record management system and our CAD vendor. And they're doing their final migration to the newest version of all their applications. And one of the big one there is the net motion that covers our connectivity between the, inside here and then the mobile data terminals in the car. So all that's being updated. And once that's completed, TBNG will officially down all the old servers and remove those physical devices from our building, along with the associated wiring that's there. Recently, they upgraded our wireless internet throughout the building from 2 access points to now we have 6 new access points, which was a really significant improvement to our Wi-Fi accessibility throughout the building. And moving forward, they're trying to remedy a lot of quick fixes that we have made over the air, and a lot of unmanaged network switches and all that stuff is being replaced. And it will really help us be more efficient, optimize our speed, but more importantly, to minimize our risk of exposure against the vulnerability of cyber outside threats such as cybersecurity and breaches or attacks. And that's it for my report.
Do we need a motion to approve? If so, I so move.
Second.
Chairman Berg, I think you
Can't hear you.
There were 2 motions. There were 2 seconds. I'll take Mr. Shambrown this time. Thank you, Dr. Freed, for moving. Are there any further discussion? Going through the roll call, all those in favor, Mr. Shambrown?
Aye.
Dr. Freed?
Aye.
Dr. Zier?
Aye.
Mr. Esposito?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. Our next item are letters and certificate of accommodation.
We have 2, a letter of commendation and a letter of recognition. The letter of commendation is to Officer Matthew Lima, and the letter of recognition is to Officer John Calabrese. And it all references back to that incident that I spoke about earlier, the carjacking on Lucy Street that occurred on January 2nd. It was at 3:44 in the afternoon. It was an elderly victim. 2 suspects, as I said, brandished a handgun, demanded his vehicle. He did not comply. They fled. Officer Lima located the suspect fleeing into New Haven. He was able to see them discard a handgun. He took one of the suspects into custody. At the same time, there was a crowd of people. The crowd of people began gathering. Shortly after, Officer Calabrese arrived, and they were able to take that person into custody and successfully remove her from the area, the immediate area there anyway, and to prevent any further problem. So based on Officer Lima's keen observation and sound police tactics, and Officer Calabrese's outstanding performance and dedication to duty by both of them, I just want to publicly acknowledge their actions during that incident and praise them for a job well done. So those will go in their files. And the second matter under personnel was just an update on the sergeant's promotional examination. For the position of sergeant, that, as you know, replace the vacancy created with the retirement of Sergeant Thomas. It's officially been scheduled and will be conducted by the South Central Criminal Justice Administration during the first week of March. We have 5 officers who are interested and signed up for the process. They've been provided the applicable list of reference materials to review, study, and prepare with. And the written portion of that exam is scheduled for March 8th, and the oral boards will follow shortly after that. So look forward to presenting the board the results of all that, hopefully at our March or April meeting. So that'll be coming in the future. And then just finally, a little update on our extended absences. So follow up from what I reported to the board last month regarding several members of the department who had been out. Like we had a dispatcher that was out for several weeks on a surgical medical leave, and she has since returned to duty. Another dispatcher was out for an extended period associated with COVID-related matter and has returned. And as I said before, we have one dispatcher that's currently still out for the same reasons, and she's tentatively due back if all goes well this weekend. On the officer side, we had an officer who has been out on a workman's comp, and he from an injury sustained at work, and he's been cleared. He recently returned to full duty with no restrictions. During the last month or so, we had 4 officers who had been out on COVID-related absences. All have since returned. So right now, we're just down to one dispatcher, and hopefully she'll be back. And fingers crossed that we're getting beyond the surge and everyone stays well.
Somebody already asked this. Well, I'm sorry, I had to, apparently I'm supposed to be at 3 different meetings tonight, but what's our vaccination rate among people who work for the police department?
We don't have I would say the majority is, but we don't have an exact total on that because that's not something that's been mandated by the town. But working through that, as I said last month, we'll do our best we could, the deputy and I, to manage the personnel if we have any more absences and try to keep our overtime as minimal as possible. And that's all on the extended absence. That's all for personnel.
Okay. So our next item is the operating budget.
So moving on with the operating budget, you all received a copy of the proposed fiscal year 22-23 operating budget. The deputy chief and I met with Commissioners Esposito and Shanbrom at the end of last month, as they comprised the budget subcommittee, and they reviewed it because it was due in the finance office on January 4th. So this evening we would need, if you so approve, we need final approval from the full board on the proposed budget. I could explain anything, or maybe it's best if I just turn it over to Commissioner Esposito or Shanbrom if you had any comments or you wanted me to proceed with it.
I think that, Michael and I met with the chief and deputy chief, and we went through line item by line item. We thought the budget was on and basically focusing what our needs were and not any wants, basically what our needs are. And so based on that review of the budget, okay, I concurred that, we would support that budget and vote for it and vote on it. So Michael, what do you have to say about it, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And the only thing I'll add, just my own words, is everything that's being asked for is both necessary and reasonable. And anything less could pose a threat to public safety.
Well, no offense to Commissioner Shanbrom, but we have our heavy hitter in finance, and if he supports it, I'm gonna run with Mr. Esposito's recommendations.
Agreed.
I think to reinforce what Mike says is exactly right. We felt that very strongly that this is what he needs to run the department with, and so we're in agreement on this. So
Not a lot of fluff here at all. So
there's
if
no
anything,
fluff there.
I mean, I'm being sarcastic. It's really not much of a discussion in my eyes. Is everyone? So we do have to vote on this, right, going forward.
I just have a question. What happened to the "if you don't cut this, we will" memo?
Well, go ahead, Frank. Why don't you?
Yeah, so as you saw, that was they asked all the department heads to come in with a response of projects or things that you could cut out of your budget, and that my response was included in your packets.
I read your response.
And pretty much it said that we've already made some drastic, significant cuts
So are they still going to cut then? That was I know I read your response, which I thought was on point, but does that mean that they're still going to make cuts of their own choosing?
Could very well be.
I don't think there's any question about the fact that the Board of Finance is going to be looking for, as they do every budget year, looking for our departments to make cuts. But I think we've made our feelings known that very clearly that we don't believe there's anything for us to cut here. We're bare bones budget now. Now, they would like to have zero-based budgets. Board of Education came in originally at 17.5%, dropped it to 13.5%, and everybody else is sitting down there, with very minimal increases. So I think that what this is going to unfold is when all the presentations are made, between now and the balance of the month, we'll know better, Deborah, what's going to happen there. Because all the budgets will be made before the 1st. So, and I'm sure that we'll hear a lot from the Board of Finance.
In our budget presentations, just so everyone knows, is Thursday, January 27th at 6 p.m.
Yeah, it's going to write right down on the calendar.
We
We're going to
can-
get Mike and I in, right?
Yes,
We're on the list. Mike and I are on the list.
you are.
Chief, I'm sorry, can you repeat the date and time?
Thursday, January 27th, a week from tonight, at 6 p.m.
So is there a motion to approve the operating budget as proposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the operating budget as proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Seer. Is there any further discussion or comment? Okay, writing down the voting. All those in favor, Mr. Shambrow,
Aye.
Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Mr. Esposito,
Aye.
Dr. Seer.
Aye.
Thank you all. That carries unanimously. Is there a motion to adjourn the Board of Police Commissioner meeting for this evening?
I move we adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
Dr. Seer. Thank you, Dr. Freed. Any discussion? I hope not. All those in favor, Mr. Shambrow,
Aye.
Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Mr. Esposito,
Aye.
Dr. DeSier.
Aye.
Don't go anywhere. We're still going. Good evening. Welcome to the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. It is 8:04. A little bit later than I think we all thought we'd be here. We don't have that much, but I do know we do have some public comment that we have to address. Chief, could you tell us what that is?
So we have four public, five actually now, another one came in, 5 public comments. They're all emails. So Janice will read those, and they all refer to speeding.
She sent them to us.
Yes, but for the record,
If they weren't part of the agenda, then it has to be read into the record.
Okay.
yes. Okay,
So she'll go forward with that.
Janice, we're ready for you.
thank you. So the first email we received came from Javier and Kelly Aviles of Ansonia Road, saying, "Dear Traffic Authority, in recent years, many families with young children have moved into the stretch of Johnson Road that connects Ansonia Road and Rimmon Roads. Currently, there are a total of 12 children, all under the age of 12, that live on this quarter-mile stretch of road. As our children frequently enjoy playing outdoors, all of the residents of this area have noticed consistent speeding and dangerous driving on this short road, and vehicles traveling at speeds in excess of 50 miles per hour are a regular occurrence. Checking our mail and walking our children to Beecher Road School have become dangerous tasks. Residents have reported this to the police during the past several years, and temporary solutions such as increased police presence and radar speed detectors have helped, but the problem persists. This past month, a speeding vehicle lost control and crashed into a tree at 1189 Johnson Road, and they included an image. Given the short distance between the traffic controls stop signs at the ends of this road, there is no reason vehicles should be traveling at such high speeds. We, the residents of Johnson Road, request a permanent fix be installed, such as a speed bump, to reduce speeds on this short road that is home to so many young children." The next email came from Brian and Kathleen Mills of Johnson Road. We write echoing other neighborhood concerns regarding unsafe traffic on the block of Johnson Road between Ansonia Road and Rimmon Road. This short block connecting two major highways is increasingly used as a high-speed cut-through by drivers with very dangerous results. Earlier this month, a car crashed into a tree in our front yard and was totaled. Woodbridge police and fire personnel were swift to respond and consummate professionals, but can often only respond to unsafe speeding drivers after the fact. To my knowledge, no speed limit or warning signs exist on the block. The large number of small children on this particular block, including those who walk on the street to Beecher Road School daily, necessitates a careful consideration of traffic slowing or calming measures by your authority. Thanks for your consideration and service to the Woodbridge community. The next letter is from Abigail Santa Maria. She says, I live at 1188 Johnson Road with my two boys, ages 7 and 4. The stretch of Johnson Road between Rimmon and Ansonia has become a dangerous pass-through section on which drivers of cars and trucks routinely gun their engines to dangerous speeds. I am writing to request that you expeditiously take measures to curb such speeding before tragedy occurs. My boys are among a dozen children who live on our stretch of Johnson Road. Many of us walk to and from Beecher Road School daily. On evenings and weekends, the kids often bounce from house to house playing together. Sometimes we walk or bike to the golf course. My mailbox is across the street from my house, and my kids often accompany me to check it. All of these otherwise lovely, normal neighborhood activities are tainted by the anxiety that comes with feeling profoundly unsafe and unprotected on our own streets as cars whiz by our bodies too close and too fast. I do not believe that increased signage is the answer. The most effective long-term solution would be to install 2 to 3 speed bumps on Johnson Road between Ansonia and Rimmon and to reduce the speed limit to 25 miles per hour. I understand that my neighbors have sent similar written pleas for your help. I trust that you will take swift action toward measures that will protect our children before someone gets injured or killed. Thank you for your attention and assistance. Feel free to reach out to me with any further questions. The other two we received this morning. The next one is from Marguerite and Walden Dillaway of Johnson Road. They write, we join our neighbors in not only concern, but alarm about the higher frequency of speeding cars down our segment of Johnson Road between Ansonia Road and Rimmon Road. We have lived in Woodbridge for 32 years and have never witnessed this amount of reckless driving. This culminated, as you know, in a high-speed crash into a tree last week. We are thrilled to have so many elementary-aged children in our block. However, we are quite concerned about these kids having to walk down Johnson Road or cross the street or wait by the side of the buses exactly during the rush hours when people are speeding by. Many of us in the neighborhood also enjoy walking to the country club down Johnson Road, and sometimes we feel we have to jump onto the grass to avoid cars barreling down the road who seem to have little regard for pedestrians. The remedy may be to install more speed limit signs, slow signs, children live here signs, and even a speed bump to make people slow down. Another suggestion would be to increase police presence at the corner of Manville and Johnson during these rush hours. There is no reason for people to travel so fast on this segment of road between 2 stop signs, and it is very dangerous. Thank you for your urgent attention to this matter. And our final email is from Mr. Jeffrey G. of Johnson Road. I write to you on a matter of some concern to the residents of Johnson Road, specifically that section between Rimmon and Ansonia. On numerous occasions, I have seen cars roll through the intersection of Johnson and Ansonia at 15 miles per hour or more because sightlines are good, and they reach speeds exceeding 45 miles per hour in the 100 yards or so before they pass our driveway at number 1180. They continue accelerating before braking hard at the Rimmon intersection, the site of many bad accidents. The speed limit on Pease Road is 30 miles per hour, a relatively straight road with good sightlines, but when you turn the corner onto Johnson, it jumps to 35, an older speed limit sign, incidentally, with a dangerous curve just ahead and the dangerous aforementioned intersection at Rimmon. As you know, 35 for many drivers means 40 or 45 is acceptable, but certainly not safe on the short stretch between Rimmon and Ansonia. Please consider lowering the speed on Johnson Road to 30 miles per hour with the added possibility of speed bumps or stop signs both ways at Manville Road if the lower speed limit fails to improve safety. A stop at Manville might improve safety at Rimmon and Johnson as well. And that concludes the public comments.
Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
I responded back to all 5 of those residents and acknowledged receipt of their emails and let them know that it's been assigned for review and that upon completion, we'll follow up with them and share our findings of any proposed changes or any recommendations we have to address their concerns. I've also shared them with the chair of the traffic committee too, and we'll coordinate a meeting with them between tonight and prior to our next board meeting as well. And in the short term, the deputy chief's been on top of it and has assigned increased police presence and traffic and radar details in the immediate area there. It's that stretch between Rimini and Ansonia Road, and we haven't had any significant incidents there, thankfully, but there was an accident on I believe it was the first week of this month. I think it was on the 4th. Car struck a tree, so might have brought this to the forefront somewhat. But so we'll follow up with you and keep you posted as what comes of our review.
So in the past, I don't recall at what point did we ask you to do a traffic study? Is that your intention?
You could. We're going to start doing some.
Do we have to do that, put that on our agenda? And
Statistics, but we will do one there in light of all the concerns that have been expressed.
that would probably be helpful. I'm sure the citizens on that road would like us to at least analyze it. I mean, obviously we have nothing to vote on tonight, but maybe if we can start that process.
Right, yeah, and that'll give us some data and some facts because we don't really have any at this point because nothing's ever come up. But
We can do that.
And we'll follow up with you. And that's and then just one other topic under traffic, just briefly. The first selectman and I received notification from Connecticut DOT about an upcoming project, and we just wanted to make the board aware of it. It doesn't require any action, but the DOT did ask that the legal traffic authorities were made aware that they're going to be proactively replacing all the various signal lights across the state with new LED lights that supposedly will last twice as long as the ones that are currently there. So in our town, they're going to be changing the lights at Amity and Center, Amity and Bond at the JCC driveway there. Seymour Road, Route 67 at the Bear Hill Road, Acorn Hill intersection. Ansonia and Baldwin, the flashing light there. Amity Road and Highland by the Brookside Market, the flashing light there. And then the traffic signal controls at 63 and 67. All that stuff will be upgraded. So just to make you aware of that, and nothing else for the traffic authority at this time.
Thank you. So the only item is to vote to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Shambro. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Freed. Going down a roll call vote, Mr. Shambro,
Aye.
Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Mr. Esposito. You're on mute, but I see your mouth moving. Okay, the hand's good. Thank you. And Dr. Nasir.
Sadly, aye.
Thank you all. Thank you for your patience with my fumbling earlier tonight, and good evening. Good night.
Good night. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.